The Eagles entered the 2025 season looking to become the 10th team ever to repeat as Super Bowl champs.
One thing that Howie Roseman has always done is a master at restocking. It's why they've lost some players on the defense side, but they continue to restock and retool. And the one thing about this Philadelphia Eagles team, they're strong in all the right places that you need to win football games.
With the retooling by taking young, talented players on defense. You mentioned Campbell. They now have at least 7 starters on the defensive side of the ball on rookie contracts.
What's the biggest challenge as the Eagles try to repeat?
I think the survivor losing Kellen Moore.
All right, man. A lot of points to digest here. So we'll just start from the beginning, man. The Eagles have elite talent in both the roster with the moves they made in the 2025 NFL Draft. I mean, they knocked it out of the park. Most pundits will give them an A of some sort. A minus at the worst I've seen. I even saw an A as well. But, the patience, once again, 2 years in a row, consecutively running that Howie Roseman has exercised patience. Last year, and it was eating them apart, waiting until the 22nd pick to select Quinyon Mitchell. But this year, he tried to make attempts to trade up for Jihad Campbell. Try to get up to the Chargers at 24. That would have been like 10 picks up, and then he tried again to trade with, I think, the Lions, and they weren't having it. You can go see the draft room video, but it all makes it pretty apparent what his move was. The move was always Jihad Campbell, and they're adding, what was seen as a top 15 at worst, top 10 talent at best, talent in the draft, the best linebacker, and then I'm arguing with some idiot fan that talked about, he's a busted up off the ball linebacker, devalued position. Then why were they trading up so hard to try and get him, man? These kind of guys come along. You don't just, let it play out and let someone jump you in line. Shedeur Sanders went a pick earlier than us. The Browns jumped in front of us at 146 or 45 to select him because they had a inkling that the Eagles were going to take him. Not a promise, not a wish, not 70% sure. But if you are not willing to take that risk to let your guy get away, let the guy slide by, then you go up and make a move and you sacrifice a pick, or a gaggle of picks, or some other draft capital, or other resources. It's a risky game already, the draft. You don't want to go on some positions that sit back and always be this close. If Howie Roseman had that mindset, he would never be able to make these picks to play the boards as such. He plays them like a fiddle. But anyways, get back on track. Only the top 2 picks projected to come in and challenge for starting positions. Mukuba at safety and Jihad Campbell, and that's because of injury. And even then, they have stiff competition. And Sidney Brown, who's not just going to roll over. He's in his 3rd year. He has got to be. The theme. You can look at the roster. A lot of 3rd-year guys or guys on their first contract being allowed to compete for those spots. You see Keely Ringo going to be competing for one. Why we didn't sign some of these guys that we let leave in free agency, because we wanted to trim the roster, trim the fat by way of cap savings. And try and embellish this roster the best we can while we still have certain stars at the height of their powers, and youth, vitality, and you don't want your players, your star players, to age out before you've had a chance to maximize the chances, the bites of the apple. So that's what we're doing, especially Saquon. He's a guy who's going to be 28 or 29 this year. So tread on the tires is going to begin to show at some point. Capitalize on this guy's peak while we can. And the other open positions that are open, the projected starters are on the roster and were here last year with, for example, Tyler Steen. He was behind Mekhi Becton. He didn't win that battle in camp, and then we had him as a valuable backup. He played in the NFC Championship game. So, you have 4 Pro Bowl caliber starters on the O-line. You can plug, a Jag in there. He's not a Jag. I believe he can be a solid starter in this league. Doesn't have to be a superstar when you have All Pro, Lane Johnson, All Pro, Jordan Mailata, Pro Bowl, Cam Jurgens. I mean, pick your poison. Pro Bowl, Landon Dickerson. We're just stacked, man. We'll get to that in a second, but the other projected starters, at D tackle, someone's going to step up. I mean, Jordan Davis, he's there, but Moro Jones stepping into I can't remember his name. He just went to the Patriots. Milton Williams' role. And then Ty Robinson, we drafted him in, but there's no pressure for him to come in and start immediately because we have succession plans in place. At cornerback, we lost Darius Slay, a good veteran, but aging out of the system, aging out of the league. Went to Pittsburgh, but that's his last, hurrah. Keely Ringo, a former fourth-round pick we traded a third-rounder for. Time to see what we have in him. So, smattered throughout the roster, these succession plans are in place. And that's how smart teams do it. We learned from 2017, and we won the Super Bowl, and then we tried to hold on to, guys we should have let go, guys we overpaid for, even though they might have been decent players. Howard Roseman, he took those L's on the nose, different regime change as far as coaching. Got a new guy in here and then went back to Super Bowl not once but twice and then won one. So excellent. They go on to mention 7 starters on rookie contracts. That's just criminal, bro. 7 starters. So let's actually look at those guys that we have, because this is just ridiculous at this point. An embarrassment of riches. Nolan Smith, he's in his 3rd year. Had 10.5 sacks, including the playoffs last year. And he had some key ones, He lost his battles mostly with Tom Ryans, or whatever his name is, the tackle who guy swore that was good as Lane Johnson, but he got his ass beat by the same Nolan Smith who evolved over the season. In that wild card game against Green Bay, he beat their ass 2 times. Jalen Carter almost beat Rams' ass 2 times. Without him, doing his thing in the divisional round, those back-to-back pressures, sacks, we don't win that game, man. And then he was a monster in the Super Bowl as well, along with other guys. But he was one of the main guys they keyed in on because he's heavy-handed and a destroyer. Jordan Davis, not the guy that maybe we drafted him to be, but him being, a stout force against the run, and getting some pass rush juice. If he just takes a smidge of a step forward, man, paid off. You ever paid him $12 million, but well worth it. Moro Jomo, a guy who was drafted in the 7th round, who was seen as a value pick, he showed why last year. Behind Chris Jones, had the best pressure rate of D tackles in the league. Crazy, man. And he was only in his 2nd year. Cooper DeJean, rookie, Super Bowl pick. Go and watch it. Say that Milt, he aging like milk. Nah, aging like fine wine. That DeJean. Zach Bond, he's the outlier here. We brought him in from the outside. But all these other guys, they're our guys. It's crazy. Look at the names on this list. All of those are Eagles, homegrown talent, man. Zach Bond, we discovered him, we unearthed him. So to some degree we claim that, but Vic Fangio seeing him and not labeling him as just an edge rusher, just a special teamer, saying, hey, let me take this guy, give him some coaching, and he took to it, swam like a fish in water. And, the rest is history, man. He made us play linebacker. And then I'd say due to his multiplicity and diversity, impact on the defense, made us draft a linebacker as well. The first time since 1979. Crazy. Nakobe Dean, unfortunate that he's injured, Ryan, but I could say at the very least, Jihad Campbell allows us to have some depth there in case he doesn't come back and look quite like himself. But, still love him. I was a doubter. I said he need to prove it. He did that and then some. We had definitely, I would say, a poor man's version of Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis here last year. But those two were the best inside duo in the league, bar none. Keely Ringo, talked about him previously, but he's got on the measurables. He made strides forward last season. Still not sure if he's that guy, similar to Kobe Dean, but I do think he deserves a chance to prove it, and he's going to compete with a guy like Odori Jackson on the roster, but match is beautiful. Quinyon Mitchell, just a star last year as a rookie, and he's only going to continue to get better. Lockdown on the outside, already a top 10 corner in my eyes. Beautiful. Sidney Brown. He had the injury that set him back in December of his rookie year, but he has to prove that he can hack it. We know he can hit. Needs to be more consistent. He can cover in space, but still, it's not the easiest thing playing safety in this Vic Fangio scheme. You're expected to be where you need to be, and also hone your instincts. Kind of like the guy next to him, Reed Blankenship. He's like the least talented, you would say, one of the least talented guys, on our roster, but. Johnny on the spot, right place, right time. Had 3 picks, I think maybe 3 or 4 picks last year. Just a key man back there. He erases a lot of mistakes. Has enough speed. People doubt his speed. He runs a 4.5, 4.55. Shut up. Question his athleticism? Nah. He's one half of the Amazing Whites. Nah, man. I love Reed. Love Ghost what he brings back there. And he's only in his 3rd or 4th year, and he's still these guys under 25 or under. It's crazy the amount of talent we have here. So just an embarrassment of riches, man. And I mean, these rookie savings are a double-edged weapon. We save money, cap space, allowing for other maneuvers on the roster where we want to add other pieces, add luxuries in drafting and in salary, as well as having fresh young legs and vitality to go along with massive potential and growth to improve. Like, those guys were good as rookies last year. Those guys were good as second-year players. They're only going to continue to get better. They won a championship. They're still hungry, coming off of that. Jalen Carter's going to continue to improve. Morrow Jones is going to continue to improve. Zach Bond is in his first year as a full-time starter at inside linebacker. He's going to get better. Man, the sky's the limit, man. And these guys were just in their first year with Vic. I can't wait to see how he evolves his defense even further with guys that are comfortable. All right, number 3. In a better position to survive an coordinator change this time around with Kevin Patullo. So, yes, Kellen Moore did ride off into the sunset. I was hoping that he would stay, but, the writing was on the wall. He got a head coaching offer, and the Saints was in a good position because of the debt that they're in. But those opportunities only come around so often, so he went ahead and took it. Can't blame him for that, but the thing about the difference between Brian Johnson coming in and he was, raw. This was his first coordinator gig, and he had just gotten into the league, 2 years ago. We gave him that chance as a QB coach, and he ascended along with other coaches, and just wasn't the right move. But Kevin Patullo, he's been here, not just here in Philly. He's been with Nick for several years, been absorbing different systems, and he's been a key player in installing those things. So I like his chances better than in Brian Johnson. We still have to see what he's made of and what system he's going to install, but he's been, growing, adapting, evolving, learning different schemes over the course of the offseason, and looking at things that they want to add in from the college game, from other teams, innovation-wise. So I do have some confidence that, they're just not just going to backtrack to, anointing a coach just because he was here, just because he's buddy-buddy with Jalen and the other things. I think they put some thought process into it, and they don't want to see, what happened in 2023 repeated here in 2025. So I do feel confident in that, and AJ vouched for him, and I don't think that's just empty words. I think he's a guy that speaks his mind and doesn't hold back, doesn't play his game. But also, since Jalen has experienced so many systems, we saw his audible rate. There's a video that on YouTube where this guy has like a 30-minute video where he's breaking down Jalen's audibles and his above the net game that he played with, and Kellen Moore, credit to him that they just expertly broke down Steve Spagnuolo's defense, knew the ins and outs, knew subtle variations, and a second team All-Pro just destroyed him versus AJ. The other corners and safeties, Jalen knew outside of that pick where they were going to be, on scrambles, hitting them, previously during the regular season, he held onto the ball, too long, and then went ahead to have a negative play or a net negative in zero yardage, or just a throwaway, toss away. Those same plays extended them and then made them in the Super Bowl. Just it shows you what a serious game plan looks like. We were waiting to unleash that. Said in 2023, but actually panned out and rang true here in 2024. But Jalen having the experience, he will be able to process the information coming at him better, faster, being able to adapt to it. And at this point in his career, it's a plus for him. Whereas earlier, it's just confusion and you're trying to get down to basics, fundamentals. Now it expedites his process overall. Last one we're going to get to here, number 4, the way we're structured. Built to survive early season ebbs and flows, working out kinks to build momentum, with having a strong core that is mostly intact from last year, and adding seasoning to the draftees that were brought in to play supporting roles primarily. So having, O-line, we're only replacing one starter on offense, and that's at right guard. Like I said, we don't need to have a superstar ready to plug in there. Plug in a guy who's average to solid, and man, you'll get excellent results because of the core around them. Receivers, returning, same guys, same trio, returning Dallas Goedert until, further notification, he's the starting tight end. Returning the quarterback and running back, and Saquon and Jalen. Returning the head coach. The offensive coordinator was here, so can't say his system wasn't, but there's foreknowledge of him, and he has foreknowledge of what was going on beforehand. So not just past season, but several seasons. And on defense, you're replacing some guys, but due to the shuffle rotation on an interior line, those guys were here. Edge rusher, those guys were for the most part here, stepping into new roles. Yes, we'll see how they adapt. Whether he's going to be a starter or not, but I like their chances. Bringing the other guys. We bring them in waves, rotation, so not really keying on a lot. One big guy there, Sidney Brown or other, we'll see. And then, the other corner spot with, most likely, I think, it's going to be, just mentioning his name, Keely Ringo. But even if it's not, it's just only one guy. So not too concerned overall, man. Have a lot of stability there. And from that stability, brings a lot of comfort and, confidence in what the D coordinator can call, as well as the offensive coordinator, once they get a feel for each other. Because I'm not saying we're going to win more games than last year, but having that experience in the Super Bowl, having gone so deep into the season and got the those rookie seasoning and the second year players, gotten them that experience. We're coming in as a vested veteran, not a newbie, a first time champion coming off the Super Bowl. Yeah, we crash and burn, and no, not crash and burn quite literally, but we went 9-7 2 consecutive following seasons. So I like the stability that we've brought back to the table, and then not having those rookies thrust into key starting roles or spotlight positions. Just being able to learn in the shadows, learning from their predecessors. Some of the guys that are still here, and just bask in the knowledge that they have, bask in the experience that they're gonna learn from not just their coaches, but from the veteran players on the roster. But man, so much alike. But anyways, long ass video. You're not even watching. You're not here, but it's all good. Because hey, I love talking about the freaking stinking Philadelphia Eagles, and I love making these videos. So we'll chunk introduces officially, but as always, it's fly Eagles fly, and let's motherfucking go. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Check me out at Cintron, Cintron Anime, Cintron Life, or Cintron Laughs, or other social media.